Hi, I am Stacy Oliver with Mind, Body, Soul magazine. Today is May 2nd, and I am here interviewing James von Praagh. He is one of the most gifted mediums on the planet. He is going to be coming to Seaside Center for Spiritual Living on July 28th. So we are here today to hear what are you going to do. I know you have a special method that you teach for people to connect with their loved ones, and I'm sure, will be connecting with some people in the audience that day. James and I'm honored to be here with you, excited that we're finally meeting in person.
Finally meeting.
Watching you for decades. And and I have to say, you did lives in 2020, and I was watching those. I am one of the people that you were helping support through 2020, 2021, and it was a beautiful thing, and we really, really appreciate that. So
Thank you, Stacey. Appreciate that. Yeah, I knew that during the pandemic there was a lot of fear going around, that I wanted to do something positive for people, a place for them to go to. So I created that soul care show online. I still do it every Monday. So thank you very
you're a
much.
trailblazer. You're a trailblazer in the spiritual.
I'm the OG, babe.
You are.
That's how they call me. Yeah.
You are when it comes to life after death. You're
Dead people. That's my living.
you're an expert.
Thank you. Thank you, Stacey.
So what is there a specific practice that you use? And I know you're going to get into this and really teach us that on July 28th at Seaside in Encinitas, California.
Yeah, I've been doing this 40 years now. 40 years, Stacey. 40 years. And it's it's really important, I find, as a spiritual medium, and there are many mediums there out there today, but not like the old ones. For me, it's a sense of God, there's a big job, it's a responsibility. And when I go up before a public, I'm really the ambassador of the spirit world. And from my experience of working with them, of unconditional love, because as a soul, we're unconditional loving, that's who we are. Fear is an illusion, if you will. Fear is an emotion from the human world, not the spirit world, but pure love. So when I do an event, a presentation, the first thing is for them to realize, well, first I go on stage dancing and say, oh, wow. And I do that because I'm crazy and fun. And it really knocks people's fears away. They go, oh, this guy's fun. He's kind of real. I like this. Okay, I can enjoy this. So it really opens them up, and it pushes away the fear that they might have or any previous expectations of what to expect. And right away they realize, oh, this is a real guy. I kind of like him. Well, let me listen to him. So that kind of brings them in. And then I really explain the process that I go through. And the process really is the audience is as important as I am as a spirit world. I just share with them how I open up, and it's really about energy. So I do a couple of energy exercises, share with them about what happens when we pass over, what the situation is, who greets us when we pass over, how easy it is. It's a natural experience we've done many, many, many millions of times. And then where we find ourselves, and then the process of communication, how it works, how the spirit world has to build, if you will, a memory, a thought in the mind, in their mind, and send it, project it into the mind of the medium. And the medium has to be able to receive that and really receive it in a pure way, not to code it with their own stuff and give it out to, it's called survival evidence mediumship, where I give names, places, events to people in the audience from the loved ones in spirit. And one of the great ones, if I can just share that with you, what that people have said, 40 years, what is the best reading you've ever done? And I said, God, there's so many hundreds of thousands, but one that really stuck out, which still does, happened probably 5 or 6 years ago. And I was in Maui, Hawaii. And at the very end, I was aware of this little spirit girl jumping up and down the stage, a blonde-haired girl, pigtails. She was 3 years old, wearing a pink dress. And she said, I want to speak to my mommy and daddy. Today is my birthday, mommy and daddy. And I said to the audience, there's a girl here, I think she's 3 years old, pink dress. And this couple in the very back row raised their hand. And they stood up. And she said, Daddy, Daddy, thank you for the angel wings. I love the angel wings. The man, who was like this beefcake, turns around, takes off his t-shirt, and on his lats, he actually tattooed 2 big angel wings for his daughter's birth. So that's the kind of thing that goes on. And everyone's like, yeah, it's that love, that comes through.
Yeah, and I think it's important. My first experiences with sessions, sometimes you're so overwhelmed by the process, with you, that you may not realize it in the moment. Like if you say, I know one time it was said, is there a J? Is there someone with a J or a Janet? Is there a Janet in your life? And I'm like, no. And then, it's your sister. You just can't think. So I do find like your people go into a bit of a trance also when they're working with
Shell
you.
shock. Yes,
And
it's
you're
shell
like,
shock.
or like, my former husband's son would come through who'd passed over and said, I love the puppy. I love the puppy. And we're like, we don't have a puppy. But we called our 10-year-old dog the puppy all the time. But until you're driving away, from the event or from the session, it's hard to remember. Like,
It
oh,
happens
the
all
puppy,
the
the
time.
puppy. Yeah.
Every time it has shell shock, because people also are so shocked that this is real. And then they
Right.
expect what's going to be said. And they also come with preconceived ideas and notion of what they want to hear. They never get what they want to hear. They get what the spirit wants to say to them. Now, one
Yeah.
of the things that I was working once in New York to an audience, and I'll never forget, just like you're saying, this lady came through. I want to speak to my son. The son is sitting there with his wife. She's telling me she wants to say hello to Tom. Do you know what Tom? And he goes, and his wife gets, she goes, honey, that's your name. So it happens. It does happen quite often.
Well, and I think, we are so almost, well, I feel like we enter that energy with you. And so it is a little, we're not used to it if we're not used to, connecting with the spirit world so much. It's overwhelming. Like you said, the
And that's part,
mesmerized.
Stacey, that's also part of the talent of the medium, in that the medium's got to be very, very aware of the different people that are in your audience, because you're people that are very
Mhm.
aware how to be and how not to be. And then you have skeptics in there too. And one of the things which I love this story, because just because you pass over, you don't believe in life after death. You have the same mindset that you did on the earth, you will have when you pass over. So I was doing a reading for a lady in an audience, and it was her aunt came through, and I'm bringing very successfully the information. And I noticed a spirit man walk to my left, because you got to be very aware what's going on. And he's folding his arms, and he comes close to me. And I knew it was this girl in the audience, his father, who had passed. And I said to the man telepathically, this is your daughter. Do you want to speak to her? And he said to me, why would I believe in this now? I didn't believe it in life. Why would I believe it now? And I said, do you want to come close and just observe? Yeah, yeah. So we continued with the message, and it was very, very good. And he got really interested, and finally said, could I give it a try? I said, sure, go right ahead. And he kept on speaking. She understood what he was saying. He got that she was understanding. And then he said, please tell her I love her. I'm sorry I couldn't say I love her in the life. I didn't know how to love someone. Please let her know that. She understood it. She cried. She was freed from that, and he was freed from it. So it really was a healing for everybody. But you never know it's going to happen, which is
Well, right. And healing is going to happen,
that's
right?
about. It's all about healing on all
Yeah.
the
And
levels.
in one of your recent blogs, you really talked about the importance of self-love.
Yes.
Tell us about
Well,
that.
everything,
We
I think.
hear it, people hear it all the time. You have to love yourself more. You have to love, and it's so elusive to most people.
I think another way of saying it is we have to know ourselves well. I think we really, to love ourselves is to know ourselves. No one else can love you more than you love yourself. You have to really know who you are and look inside yourself, and not look outside yourself for validation, not look outside there for who you are inside here. Nobody knows you better than you know yourself. So you're the one that can love yourself the most. And I always say, what other people think of you is none of your business, because
Mm,
nobody knows you better than you know yourself. So you got to find that wonderful soul self, that wonderful aspects of your soul, that unconditional love you're made from, the formula you made from, your likes, your dislikes. We are fun loving beings, and we got to go inside. And really, when you start opening up and freeing yourself and really have that relationship with self, you really begin to live life. You really do an authentic, genuine life. And it won't be what you think, it's who you are. And it
mm,
makes a big difference in every aspect of your life and every choice that you make in life. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I loved what you said in the movie Intuition that I just, before we came on, I was saying I was watching that. I'd never seen it. And suddenly you were on the
I've been in
movie.
several movies. I found out recently I've been in several movies the past couple of years. I
You were
forgot I
good at that
filmed
one.
them. It's been so many different, like 2 years or a year, and I forget. so much happens. I've got to film those.
Well,
Yeah.
I love what you said. In the movie, you may not remember, but you said the coincidence was God's way of remaining anonymous.
Isn't that great?
That right? That was beautiful. That was
Everything's in divine, divine timing. It's not in human time. It's so funny because humans have this, they live in the human world, which is all about time and limitation and really who we truly are. Origin, our origin is spirit, which is no time. And we're always divinely led. There's divine source. We're connected to source all the time. Another interesting thing is I would say about maybe 30% of that much of the soul's inside the physical, 70% outside. So why do we pay so much attention to here when we really should pay attention to around us, you see?
right, because we're programmed over and over. Because I'm much more, every time I have a tarot reading, they're like, "Oh, you're much more in the spiritual world than the worldly world." And I know but it does work. I think people need to know that they need to trust that they'll be okay financially. They'll be okay with relationships if they let go and trust that intuition
That
more.
intuition, the soul's language. God says yes. We humans say no. And we are
Intuition is soul's
the
language.
soul's
I
language.
love the
Intuition is the
soul's
soul's
language.
language. It's the soul's tuning fork, if you will. And the more we honor that inner voice and listen to it, the better choices we make in life. So choices are based upon two things. Every choice we've made. So from a very young age, where we are today, our whole life is based on choices. And those choices are either love or fear. They're based on the love or they're based on fear, nothing else. And if you've lived your life according to your own self, your own vibration of love, you're probably a happy person. But if you lived in fear, worried about other people think of you, not doing what's expected, what society expects, you're probably not living fully in love.
Yeah, in survival, and people these days, I don't watch the media, but my father will remind me what's going on in the media. So that scares people and they go into that survival, the fear mode. So
So one great way of dealing with that is I always tell people to step back and be objective, step in objective mode and be aware of what's happening. It's almost like a theater, like a play. You can watch a play going on and see the different characters, and there are a lot of fun characters, see the characters, right? And it's a play going on. I don't have to get fully involved in that. I can be aware of what's happening, but I don't have to get emotionally involved with it and see it as, remember, we have to remember that we are souls having a human experience, not the other way around. And this is the Earth school. So we can't, and there are many, many schools. This is just one school.
Mhm.
So we shouldn't get fully involved that way. We'd be objective, but we don't have to get pulled into it. And that's true in life.
Right. So detach, and again, detach with love. So
Detach is
let's go
great.
back to the self-love. So that's a great thing to do with detaching. How, what is something we could do? So let's just use me. So I'm struggling a lot. The love of my life, we divorced in 2020. I shared with you.
Congratulations. I did in 2019 or 18.
Oh my gosh. And it was one of the best things that happened. It opened me up. But we reunited again a couple times. And I know we're talking mostly you deal with trauma, helping people heal from the trauma of their loved ones crossing, but his son crossed over in 2012. And I know that's one of the traumas. And we were so bonded, James. We really, it was the most intimate relationship, I've ever had. And what would you say to me? Because I am still suffering a bit. I will still go into suffering over that loss and this new transition to expanding Mind, Body, Soul magazine nationally. And
So you can do that. You can do that. So souls come together for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. Really, really true. And we have to remember that everything that happens to us doesn't happen by accident. I personally don't believe in accidents. I believe we're divinely led. And that situation with that soul coming in, what did that soul teach you? See,
so much. Yeah.
right. And I work with a lot of parents who lose children. And to me, it's one of the greatest lessons in this lifetime, one of the hardest, I think. But I often say, you might have chosen that before you came back. You all might have, that soul group might have chosen that person leaves. So what is the gift left behind? I believe all souls come with gifts that they leave behind, but we have to have the courage to open up that gift and see what's inside and live it out. And they wouldn't want us to suffer. They don't want us to they want us to be happy because they're very happy. And the soul should not be suffering. Should not be part of the soul, suffering souls. It's all about life and living. And he definitely wants you to, obviously a guide of yours now and can help you and see you. But again, you got to let yourself be true to yourself and see yourself for who you are. Well, of course, you're going to go through grief. That's natural. That's normal. But you just can't make it become a part of everyday life that takes you over. You have to put it in proper perspective. And what are you going to use? The positive traits. So things that happen now with the loss of him, maybe many years later, you're going to help another person, people who have gone through the same situation.
Well, I had lost my first husband, and that is why I published Holistic Health Magazine.
Well, there you
I
go.
was 29 years old, and
That's it.
I knew, but I also felt strongly that Mike's death in 1998 and opening my eye to cancer, I'm like, what is going on? And then, I've published over 1 million copies of Health
I'm a
Magazine.
big fan of yours, so there you go.
Thank you. And I kept hearing 1 million more copies in 2021, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But we're going to do the events also. You're going to come to Seaside.
Yes, I'm supporting you.
Thank you. Yes, you're going to support the Live Your Power Expo. And
I mean, there's so much out there that people need to see and to experience, not only online, but in person. And through, the work that you're doing, that vibration of love and bringing people together, and body, mind, spirit, finding out the true values of who they are, their soul, having an experience, and live that way. Live that. It's not hard to live that way. We're just going to be, reminded how to live that way. And that's what conferences will do. Your magazine does that very nicely. And, you're a beam of light there, my friend. So
thank you so much. And I want to say one thing that came to me, in my meditation when I was creating Mind, Body, Soul magazine is journal pages. We have journal pages in the magazine.
Really
a
important.
ton of journal pages. Do you?
It's so important. Are you kidding?
Okay, you condone journaling.
Oh my God. I mean, that's so important because when people read your articles in that magazine, things come to them and insights come to them.
Inspiration.
And you can write it down. I think that's genius of you to do that.
Yeah. So we're gonna, and then we thought we would do a an annual journal, vision journal, just a journal for the entire year visioning, and anything we can do to support people, right? And you were so supportive of all of us the last few years. Of course, you've been doing it for 40 years, like you said. But thank you so much.
When there is a need, we have to fulfill it the best we can. We can only, people often talk about what's happening in the world outside. What can we do? What can we do? And I say, well, the first step is you'll heal the microcosm. First, you got to deal with the inner part. What's happening with you that you can control, this inner part. And if you can control that or work with that, that will affect the macrocosm. Because as you control this inside part, you're a better person. If you will, your vibration shifts of love.
And we're not putting our drama or trauma out there. I heard that in a sweat lodge in Colorado, probably 15, 20 years ago. People were saying, praying for world peace and pray. And I heard the message, the war is within me. And that I need to heal, right, the war within me and not perpetrate that ripple effect, my dramas, so that when someone cuts me off in traffic, I just bless them and I don't, curse them.
Go down to that level. That's right.
And and it's just, and I never have bad driving or, so.
I always say to people when they say like that, I say, how very nice. Or I'll pass them by, I go, hi.
I always do that. I always do the wave, and I always beg for forgiveness because I cut people off. And my people are out here in California. I was doing about 90 the other day, and 2 cars went by me. They must have been doing 200, and I'm like, my people.
It's the 5 freeway is pretty wild. It's wild west. That's true.
Just bless them. And I want to ask about our soul's purpose. We talked a little bit about people crossing back in our lives, and they do push us to our purpose. Like my first husband dying pushed me to become a publisher. I was a real estate agent. It pushed me into publishing holistic healthcare magazines. I heard a voice, publish holistic healthcare magazines. What advice do you have for people struggling with their purpose, especially? Go ahead.
I just want to interrupt you by saying that when your husband died, your purpose, you're finding purpose, but part of that was your own discovery. So it's why did he die so young? What was going on there? So you were just at self-discovery mode, which led to the magazine. More questions, right? So that's what happened.
True. That is how it happened.
I think discovering your soul's purpose, again, going back to, you have to know yourself clearly. You really have to have that relationship with your own self. and understand your abilities, understand your gifts and your aspects. And they're different for each person. So I think you really got to know yourself first to understand what your purpose is. Your purpose aligns with your passion. So what are you passionate about? What is realistic you're passionate about? And that will come to you. If you just go within and ask yourself that, that'll come out and journal it, because that comes out. Because so many times, as you know, Stacey, you get involved in that space of whether it's a meditative space, an altered state of consciousness, where you're going in, you're questioning, and insights come to you, but you don't remember them. So it's always good to have a journal next to you to write things down on those levels. So then we come back to the conscious states, like what just happened. So you'll have it written down. But I think, yeah, understanding the purpose, you understand yourself and what your passion is.
Okay, so here's a big one. And
Okay.
I see this, I saw it a little bit with myself when Mike died.
Mhm.
I was doing my work. I really was doing my work, but a certain part of me, I was still running from that pain
Yeah.
of suddenly I was really a single parent, terrified. I was terrified. I was 29 years old we had a 1.5-year-old when he was diagnosed. I guess Sean Michael was 3 when he passed, but and it was, I will say, it was 8 years later. I dropped Sean off at the Denver airport to fly to St. Louis for Christmas, and the grief that overcame me, I cried from Denver airport. It was 5 hours dumping snow all the way to Aspen. The trauma of his physical death, he had cancer, so there's a lot of stuff people don't talk about, the physical effects, and it all just came up and out of me. I cried for 5 hours. So, as much as and maybe because I was younger, I couldn't lean into the grief, but I know a lot of people run from the grief.
Mhm.
It's hard.
It's hard, and you shouldn't run from grief because it's part of the experience. And everybody handles it differently. There's no right way. There's no one way to do it.
Mhm.
People are all different, and we handle it differently as well.
In
So
our own
we never
time.
should beat ourselves up for it. In our own time, in our own way. But it is important that we do grieve, that we do go through that experience, and in a way, it honors those persons that lived, that were close to us. It's an honor.
Mhm.
Love
Mhm.
them so much that we really care for their separation and what they meant to us in our lives. So it's kind of an acknowledgement of that. And I don't think it ever goes away. I just think it just changes form, but it's always there because our life was enhanced by that person. But we can choose to use the positiveness of that relationship, what they taught us, and know that they're alive. They're very, very alive. We're kind of the dead ones down here with the sleepwalkers. But what can I do that life enhanced me so much? I'm going to honor their spirit, honor their soul by doing something this way, like you did with your husband, the magazine. And because of that, that rippling effect, you've reached millions of people through your magazine and through your ventures you're going to continue to do. So
Is
good on.
that a question you would recommend that people ask? How can I honor my loved
Oh,
ones
sure,
passing?
sure.
Okay.
I often will say to the people, if they want, one of the exercises I teach people is when they go into that silent space and that space of neutrality, I guess you could call it. They inhale 3 times, out 5 times, inhale. You get to the space of neutrality and ask the spirit in your heart. And it's a heart language, not a head language, because the critical
Mhm.
mind will get in effect. But if you go to that
Mhm.
heart language and say their name and say, give me a simplicity. What would you like me to do now? What was the purpose? How would you like me to remember your name? However you want to say it to them. Don't overthink it. And then the first things that come through to your heart, and then you'll know. It's so interesting because people have an illusion that you just have to go to a medium to get the information. You don't really, because the only difference with the spirit world and us is this body we have, this casing, this skin. We're a spirit, they're a spirit. So the spirit is part of the mind. The mind is a spirit. So it's mind to mind communication. So why can't they speak to our minds? They do. We just have to be willing and surrender and get out of our own stuff and just be neutral so we're able to hear it.
Well, and from my own experience, I need people like you. I need, and all the resources in Mind Body Soul magazine and at the events. I need the connection to, and the validation, and the support. I mean, we need your support, and
And so
the other medium support. So
why do you think you need that?
I maybe it is that
I'll give you the answer.
connection. It's a
Yeah.
connect. It is a connection. I understand that, and I need.
I think it's that you are a healer. And I think that you want to realize that you're healing a lot of people, that a lot of people listening, a lot of people are receiving the energy. And I think you want to make sure you're doing your work, your purpose, which is healing whatever level it is. There are many levels of healing through word, through magazines, through events. There are many
Mhm.
ways of healing. So you just want to make sure that that's done. And it is done because the universe takes care of that. God says yes, humans say no, but you're doing it. I think it's just because you want to make sure you're doing your path work.
So which is a trust issue. Yeah, trusting
Just
myself,
trust, which is
trusting the
trusting.
path. Um,
And it's
and
getting out of,
I'm human, I get
like the
lonely.
guy's gonna say, get out of the human head into the heart,
Okay.
that get the head to the
Stop
heart.
being human and just be supernatural like you and teach us.
Just live from your heart out. That's all. You can,
Okay. And
yeah,
I have one more question.
yeah.
And it's because I know there's no coincidence. I saw that movie. You were in there. You talked about divine timing. You didn't say much about it in the movie, but you're a big believer in divine timing, and that's where a lot of us get frustrated with, right, the timing of a loved one leaving, or whether it's that they left the physical planet or just left the relationship. And
I think it's a matter of, and we talk about timing and so forth. I think it all comes back to control. And I think humans love to be in control. They love to control when things are going to happen. They love to control other people. They love to control things. That's kind of our, I guess, our security.
it's that lack of trust. You're
It's a
right.
lack of trust. It's an illusion, really, because we don't have control. We can't control the people. We can't control situations. The only thing we can control is how we respond to people or situations. That we can't control. That we
Mhm.
can say, I'm sorry, but I don't accept that. Or I'm drawing a boundary here. That we certainly can't control. But we got to realize that we can't control other people. I love the Buddhist expression. I use it all the time, which is you can't push the river. Yeah, it's going to flow. You can't push it. It's going to flow anyway. So just enjoy the
Beautiful.
flow and just realize that bigger part of it and just kind of get out of the control. When we release control, we give freedom to our lives. We really do.
I love it. Thank you so much. So we are going to give 2 free tickets away. Mind,
Oh,
Body,
good.
Soul Magazine is going to give 2 free tickets away to your event at Seaside Center for Spiritual Living, July 28th. I'm over the top. I can't wait to see you. I'm going to try to get a front row seat. I'm not sure how the ticketing's going, but
I'll get to a front row. I have full.
okay, give me front row. And so go to mindbodysoul.media to sign up for free tickets. Check out Seaside. Also, there's a full page article and about the event in mindbodysoul.media spring issue online. And thank you so much. I'm glad this worked out perfectly. Divine timing today.
Yes. And I also have school online, which is the JVP School of Mystical Arts if people are interested in taking some courses.
Great.
Of,
JVPschoolofArts.com.
of mysticalarts.com. The
JVPschoolofMysticalArts.com.
right on.
And where else can we find you? Facebook, you have your Facebook,
Facebook, I have
Instagram.
TikTok, I do Instagram, I do readings on there. So I do card readings and yeah, that's
And
fun.
what was the name of your most recent book so people can,
The Power of Love.
The Power of Love. Okay. And you have a blog, so we're going to
I
be
have a blog.
following you. And thank you
Thank
again for your service, your
thank
40
you,
years
Stacey.
of helping us.
Thank you, sweetheart. Appreciate it.